2016 was more impressive because I'm just trying to remember the rosters, trying to remember the teams. But at least if you look at the 2009 year, they were at the Cup final the year before. They were playing the same team before. It was obviously a very different molded team, but the main guys knew they had the ability to get there again. Whereas in 16, it was the year before they got ousted in the first round. Right? Was it the first round of the Rangers in 15?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was the very, very bad team that barely got in.
Yeah, they got one win that series, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So it wasn't certain that, in 2016, they were playing the same team again in the first round. Sure, it was a much improved team with a new head coach and new style of game and a much better young rookie goaltender. But I think there was still uncertainty of the 2016 year, whereas the team didn't seem as good. They may not have made it out of the first round. They're playing the Rangers again at a home ice advantage. Who cares? It was still the same battle. And once they made it out of the first round, things kind of seemed to go, okay, here we go. Capitals second round, in every series. But I think 2016 would have been more impressive, whereas 2009 may have had the better team.
I would go on the other side of that. I think 2009, in my opinion, was more impressive for a multitude of reasons. I mean, you look at the first round matchups, that Rangers team was cooked, right? That was the remnants of the 2014 Rangers team that went to the Stanley Cup finals and got absolutely crushed by the LA Kings. And that was the Rangers team that was on the decline very quickly. And they were getting ready for that rebuild. So while, yes, the Rangers had gotten the Penguins number, or had the Penguins number the previous two seasons, I wasn't all that concerned, other than the fact that Jeff Zadkoff was starting in game one. I wasn't all that concerned, especially after Jeff Zadkoff won that game one, about the Pittsburgh Penguins taking down the New York Rangers. Whereas the first round in 2009, yes, they were coming off of a Stanley Cup final appearance, but man, that Philadelphia Flyers series was brutal. And of course, has Max Talbot's first big moment in the playoffs that year, the shushing of the crowd after the fight where he got absolutely crushed by Daniel Carcillo. But when I look at 2009, the one thing that is matched up pair to pair, 2009 to 2016, who did they face in the second round? It was the Washington Capitals. But in 2009, it was Sid versus Ovi round one. Maybe the Capitals weren't as good as they were in 2016 because they were a powerhouse by the time 2016 rolled around. But man, Alex Ovechkin in 2009 at that age was just impossible to stop. And so was Sid, for that matter. And we obviously got the dueling hat trick game, but let's not forget that series went 7 games. Mm-hmm. And it took probably, I would say nothing shy of a Herculean effort by Marc-Andre Fleury to keep the Capitals from getting out to a lead early against the Penguins in that game. And then you get to the finals in both seasons. And that's where really the big discrepancy is for me, because you look at the Penguins Red Wings. Yes, it might have been a rematch. Yes, you might have had them the year before, but one, the Penguins were down 3-2 in that series. And two, even when they won game 6, and I was reminded of this fact yesterday whenever I was watching the video of Colby Armstrong, Max Talbot, and Tyler Kennedy, which the Penguins put up on YouTube, of the 3 of them watching game 7 of the 2009 final. I was reminded by them, the Penguins in both years leading up to that game 7 had not won a single game at Joe Louis Arena in either of those 2 series. And now they were tasked to beat a team of almost fully Hall of Famers in Joe Louis Arena, a place that they had just lost 5-0 in game 5 and had not won either year up to that point. So without Sidney Crosby for over half the game in that one. So to me, and then when you look at Penguin Sharks, in my opinion, yes, the Sharks were a good team that year, but there was no doubt after the Penguins went through the Caps and the Lightning that they were going to lose to the San Jose Sharks, particularly after they went up 2-0 and with 2 wins at PPG Paints Arena.
You're turning me on this one. Yeah. Just because also
I thought long and hard about this.
Yeah. You thought longer and harder about it than I did. But you also have to look at, yeah, you're right. They were there the season before, and yeah, they knew they could do it. But they were still 22, 21. Crosby, Malkin, Fleury. Letang was a third line player, second line player those years, playing with Daryl Sador, maybe. Certainly wasn't Gonchar.
I mean, on the power play, it was.
There he was on the power play for sure.
Yeah, 18-year-old Chris Letang on the power play with Sergei Gonchar.
Yeah, but it was a much different team. Plus, you turned me on it too. But I guess that's what this is for. They were both impressive for sure, given the trajectories of each team, and then and it was that Red Wings team with all those Hall of Famers, mind you, Marian Hossa.
He was the Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer, but that whole storyline at the time, too. Mm-hmm. So, 2009 may have been the more impressive team. Did 2016 feel more fun, though?
I think it felt more, it felt more fun because we were in college and drinking.
I was going to say, I feel like
versus
2017
being 12
may have
years
been the
old.
Most fun. Yeah. I feel like 2017 may have been the most fun because we were another year older, and it was, we won last year. We don't need to win this year, but let's do it anyway.
It's gravy. It's gravy at that point. We're like, hey, we want to, they won the Stanley Cup in they won it last year. And honestly, if you ask most people who were around Pittsburgh at that time, once they beat the Caps again, people thought they were invincible. Like there was no doubt. And if they would have beaten the Caps again in 2018, people would have still thought they were invincible, even against that Lightning team in 2018. Like if they would have gotten through the Capitals again, there wouldn't have been a shred of doubt in anybody's mind that they were going to they were going to win a three-peat. Whether that happened or not is a different story, but everybody would have been 100% confident in the city of Pittsburgh. Maybe not the team. I mean, I would assume they'd be very confident if they won back-to-back cups and were heading to the Eastern Conference Finals again, but no. I get what you're saying. And listen, I think here's how I'm going to put it. 2016 was the more impressive team. I think they were the better team. 2009 was the more impressive run, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I said I don't have the rosters or anything in front of me. I felt like just thinking through it, 16 may have been a better team, just because the consistents were still there. Malkin, Crosby, Kunitz, Fleury, Letang, and then in the 2016 team, the depth was stellar.
Yeah.
But it wasn't stellar by the sake of, in 2009, that depth was stellar with names. Max Talbot, Jordan Stahl, Tyler Kennedy, Ruslan Fedotenko floated around. Peter Skor was hurt for that run, I think.
He was.
But he was there. Miroslav Tan. I already mentioned Daryl Sador. I think he was on that team.
I don't think he was playing.
Mark Eaton. I'm thinking of Mark Eaton.
I was like, if he's on that team, he wasn't playing. But like Mark Eaton, Hal Gill, Sergei Gonchar, Chris Letang, Brooks Orpik, that was the majority of the defense. I'm missing one. And I feel really bad because I was like, I just rattled off 5. I don't know.
Rob Scuderi.
The missing piece. That's who I was missing. Of course it is. Good call on that, Horwat. But no, like that team, first of all, and again, when I say all this, I try to put my bias aside because the 2009 team was my favorite team of all time.
Okay.
Any sport. 2009, that is my favorite team. And I'm sure, you ask some of these guys, again, I highly suggest anybody that had a deep connection to the 2009 team or that just likes the Pittsburgh Penguins, go watch that video. It's 42 minutes on YouTube. I threw it on last night while I was doing some work. It's tremendous. But that team had a really special place in my heart. 2016 was great, but 2009, the first time you see, the Pittsburgh in our lifetime, the Pittsburgh Penguins raised the Stanley Cup. That was very special, especially considering the heartache of watching them lose the year prior. Watching Ryan Malone and Marian Hossa that year not be able to win, and knowing that neither of them are probably coming back. Little did we know Hossa was going to jump ship the way he did and turn heel. Yeah. But no, to see them be able to come back and beat the Red Wings, it's the reason why I've kind of cooled off on my hatred for the Ottawa Senators a little bit, because that was the story 2 years prior that, hey, they came back, they beat the Senators, and that meant the world in 2008. So it just happened that year and the following year, a bigger storyline emerged.